Welcome back to the All Lady Vol show brought to you by the Lady Vol Booster Club. I'm your host, Riley West, former Lady Vol softball player. If you don't know what the Lady Vol Booster Club is, it's the premier NIL collective for all 9 Lady Vol sports. We're here filming at Orange Mountain Designs, your stop for all Lady Vol gear, and we have 2 very special guests with us today. So as I mentioned, 2 very special guests, Riley and Audrey. Would you guys like to introduce yourself, where you're from, what year you are? And if you didn't know, they're on the rowing team, which are first guests on the show that are rowers. So thank you guys for coming.
Of course. Go ahead.
I'm Audrey. I am a sophomore here this year at Tennessee. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Riley. I am from Dayton, Ohio, and I am a senior.
And I'm not the most familiar with rowing. I'm sure there are a few viewers who aren't as well. Do you guys have positions? Like, if you were to introduce yourself as a rower, do you have a position or like a boat size that you usually compete in? Is that the right? Like, how do I ask your position?
That's good.
Yeah, so I'm the coxswain, so I'm like the little one that sits there and like yells at them and like gives them commands on what to do. I steer the boat. I am like the eyes and ears in the race. So like when we're competing, they're all like lined up in the boat, either an 8 or a 4, and I'm the one that can like see our competition on either side of us, and I'll tell them like where we are in the race, how fast we're going, how to move quicker. If there's like technical errors, I'll fix those.
Okay.
Give calls for that. And yeah.
She definitely brings the strategy, and we try to bring the power.
Okay.
I have rowed in 8s during my time here at college, and that's basically where I race in, but then practices, we can practice in like 4s or pairs, but 8s are basically my staple.
Okay. And then when did you guys start rowing? Because I, being from California, I didn't really know rowing was like that big until I got to Tennessee, and I obviously had rowing friends. So when did you guys start?
I started my spring in my 8th grade year.
Okay.
So I've been doing it for a while, yeah.
Okay.
But then like COVID hit my freshman year of high school, and that kind of like, maybe like a year-ish off of rowing. So yeah, and then I started getting recruited like my junior year of high school.
Okay.
So it's been a while.
Yeah, I started rowing when I was in 7th grade. Someone came up to me during like this leadership camp I was at and basically said, "You look like you row." And I was like, "Oh." And she's a family friend, so I was like, okay. But I found it really odd because my mom, like a couple weeks prior to, was bringing up rowing. And I've always played soccer, volleyball. I've done like all the sports, gymnastics, track, but I've never done a sport like this before. And I remember my mom bringing it up, and I kind of thought that was a coincidence that like both of those kind of happened. So we signed up for a camp, and then from there, the rest has been history.
Oh, that's
I know.
so cute. So as the coxswain, am I saying it right?
Yeah.
You're the eyes and the ears. Were you ever in the boat rowing yourself and transitioned into that role, or was it from the beginning?
Yeah, so I actually, when I tried out on the rowing team in 8th grade, I didn't know what rowing was or coxswain. I was just kind of there at the tryouts, and I was like, what's going on? And I wanted to be a rower because I was like, let me get in shape, let me be fit, like, let's do it. And then the coach came up to me and she was like, "You're far too small to ever like row, like you're gonna be a coxswain." And I was like, oh, what is that? And then I started doing it and I like loved it. So yeah, but I like definitely wanted to row for
So
a
you
while.
kind of
But
got pushed
I've
into
only
that.
been in a boat like rowing, I think twice, and it was horrible. It was so hard.
I mean, for size
So much respect for
comparison,
them.
like
Yeah.
stand up.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
mean, very different roles.
That makes sense.
And so when they're like recruiting coxswains and recruiting rowers, it just really, they are looking for size for that that role.
So like, is it like the smaller the coxswain is, like more advantage, or like why? What are they looking for? The differences is what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah, so since we are just like sitting in the boat and we're not actually like moving the boat at all, we're technically like dead weight. So there's like a weight requirement for us of like 110. And so if you're under that, they'll like add weight to your boat.
So
and then if you're above that, it's just kind of like a slight disadvantage for you. So like you want to be 110 or under. If you're over whatever, like they want you to be healthy, but that's why they tend to recruit smaller. So yeah.
And then obviously the more power you have in your position to be
Right,
able to
yeah.
push the 110 and obviously everyone
Right,
else.
exactly.
Yeah. So what is your guys' like day-to-day workout schedule, like, practice schedule, like everything? Because you obviously said it's super hard. I know how hard it is. I see you guys out there running sometimes and even on the water. So what does your day-to-day look like? And then if it's different from each other, what is yours compared to yours?
Okay, so for mine, usually on Mondays and Fridays, we'll go out in the water in the mornings for about 3 hours, and that's before all the classes. And then we will go, after that we'll have weights, and then for Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's basically switched, except instead of going on the water, we do the rowing machine.
Okay.
And then on Saturdays and Sundays, that's just full water practice, and that's up to 4 hours. Out there before game days. You'll see us out there. We're dealing with all the like
the Vol Navy traffic.
yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting.
So it was honestly, there were a lot of boats out there this past weekend. So I'm very curious to see what it's going to look like for Bama.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You have to like dodge boats.
I mean, they're already basically like tied together, like by our dock though.
Gotcha.
So it makes it difficult for her job.
Yeah, because like if they're all tied up and then I have to like go and dock us, you have to like come in parallel, and then like it's like you're telling certain rowers to take strokes, certain to back it, and then there's also like the currents on the river from the hurricane that just passed, and like so that's pushing you. So it's a lot of just like boat maneuvering from the coxswain perspective.
So like the boats will be like this way, and our dock is inward this way. So really like to do that, she has to go in and somehow basically parallel park the boat.
Like make a 90-degree turn.
Nice.
But that doesn't happen in those boats, so it's pretty difficult.
I was gonna say, before we get into what your weekly schedule, daily schedule, have you guys ever tipped a boat or been in a boat being tipped? Because it seems like, I know if the softball girls went out and got put in a boat and had to have someone maneuver, we would end up all in the water. Have you ever been on a boat that's tipped?
Yeah, it hasn't been during college yet.
Okay.
Knock on wood. I think hopefully that won't happen. Pairs are more likely to tip than a 4 or 8, just because we're at that level where it's like, we really should not be tipping.
Okay.
But when I first started rowing, for sure, it started pouring rain and there was white caps in the water, and we were trying to spin the boat. And when you spin, it's a little bit unsteady.
Yeah.
And it was like my first year, and we flipped in the water, and we have to like get back in, like, get it together. And I remember I told my mom or maybe my dad, I flipped the boat, and they were like, that's great, like, honey, like, blah, blah, blah. And they like didn't see, like, and she didn't think it was a big deal. I'm like, Mom, the water was freezing. I went in, and she was like, oh, because like we were all new to rowing, so we didn't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've never been in a boat that flipped, but I was at HP camp one year, which is just like a summer camp, and I was coxing men, and it was like my second day at camp, and we went out on like the Jacksonville River in Florida, and it was like the whitecaps were insane. They were all coming over the boat, and it like sunk us. And so lost the Oakleys. We were all like swimming in the water. I was the first to get saved, like thanks to the coaches, but they just like yanked me out of the water and threw me in the launch, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, what's going on?
So you were coxing men.
Yeah, so in high school I did women, and then we went through like a coaching change, and I was like, I might want to switch over to the men's team, like just in high school.
Yeah.
And then I coxed men for a summer camp for like about a month, and I was like, no, I don't like that. Like I would say it was like different, like they were just like, scream at us the whole time, like don't tell us anything, just like rip into us. And I was like, what? Like I feel like with the girls it's like more like, not nice, but it's like you give a lot more information, and I felt like my role was a lot more useful. Yeah. With women versus men, they were like, just scream at us. I was like,
We like a lot of variety of things
Yeah.
being told. Instead, I feel like men would just kind of want like screaming or like
and I was
power. But like
that's
we like
not me.
splits. Like we also love to like hear about our technique because
Yeah.
they can see everything from the 8 position.
Oh,
So
is there like a computer screen, or like how do you?
No, like I'm
just
looking
in
at
general,
her.
she's like
okay.
it's literally like we're staring at each other. If I was like
If she's
stroking the boat.
I'm like looking right at her.
Based on, I assumed it was like a screener technology because you said splits. Are
That
you
is
having
true.
a timer that tells them like their time and what they're okay?
So I have a Cox box with me every day and a speed coach, And both of them you can set like what shows on them, but there's like 4 different spots. And so I always have rate, I always have split, and then I always have the time. And then there's other things that you can see. You can see like power per stroke, meters per stroke, the average split, like overall of the whole piece. So you can see like a lot of different things, and I have both set up so that I can see like all 8 units, I guess. But yeah, so I'll always have that in front of me. I tell them that.
I could ask you guys about all the technical stuff and like your roles
Right.
all day.
Right.
But I kind of want to know, why did you guys choose Tennessee? Obviously, there's not that many rowing programs in the country compared to other sports. So why Tennessee? What brought you here? And then we'll kind of go into like the adversity and changes that you at least have had since you've been here, Riley.
Do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So for me, I was always talking to the old coaches throughout my recruiting process, and I was talking to.
Let me pause you.
Yeah.
If you're not very familiar, Lisa was the previous coach for 25 years and she retired. So the only coach in rowing history. And then we had a coaching change, but they were both recruited by Coach Lisa.
Correct.
So, okay, now
Correct.
go.
And that whole staff as well has been gone. So
Except David.
yeah, except David. But at the time, David wasn't there when I was there.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. Anyways, so basically, it was during COVID. I was talking to a bunch of different other schools, but I somehow, when things started to get shut down, I was not able to visit most schools that I wanted to visit.
Yeah.
So I visited the ones that were close to home, but I went for unofficial visits
Yeah.
and just kind of went. And we had a race in Oak Ridge during my club team. So we went and looked at campus as well. And I knew that this was the spot for me because of the communication between the coaches. And during COVID, I was having calls with them like once or twice a week. And it was like solid, and they were great conversations, more not even just about like rowing, about life. And that was like really important to me. And I think that like showed me what the team culture would be like too, and the way they cared. So that was something that really like interested me. And I knew at that time like we were top 20-ish in the rankings for Tennessee. And I remember during these phone calls we were always like, yeah, let's just like keep going up. Like you can make our program go up. And that was something else I was looking for too. I was definitely nervous going into collegiate rowing.
Yeah.
Like I definitely didn't want to be at the best program, and I didn't want to be at a not so good program either. So as long as I can meet in the middle and like build a program, that was like really important to me. And then obviously I went on campus, it's beautiful, and the academics is great. And that was something that my dad made sure that was #1 priority, because he said, what's gonna happen when there's no rowing? Like you have to go for the school. And I was like, you are right, Dad. So that was my.
Oh, I love
Yeah. Mine is kind of similar. So I was recruited by Lisa as well. I was talking to a bunch of schools. I went on a couple unofficial visits just from like visiting my sister. She goes to school up in California, so I saw some schools up there. And then I remember Tennessee invited me on an official, and I was like, okay, like, so then I went here, and I just like fell in love. Like I was like, oh my gosh, this is the place Riley was one of the hosts on.
I was one of the hosts.
Actually. Yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh, like the team looks amazing. The resources here are like insane compared to some of the other schools that I visited. The atmosphere, it was just like, I was like, this place is, this is it. Like, this is amazing.
And we took you to a football game.
Yes, a football game.
It was awesome.
Because I wasn't, honestly, when I was being recruited, I was obviously looking at Tennessee, but I didn't think I would end up here. And then when I came on my visit, like I remember talking to my mom, and I was like, Mom, like, I think I love it here. Like, this is amazing. And she was like, this is amazing, Audrey. Yeah.
It's a common, I feel like you just know when you know.
Yeah.
And like, I had the same feeling. So I kind of have chills when you guys talk about it.
I know, I was getting chills too. Like it just kind of felt like home. Like
Yeah,
you knew,
exactly.
you knew you would be like safe and okay,
Yes.
and like actually looked out for, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So.
But last year, there was a coaching change. And obviously coaching changes aren't easy just because you were recruited by someone different, and a coaching change might not be exactly what you heard the first time. There's always differences with coaching changes, but you weren't here with Coach Lisa, you were. So what are kind of some of the differences with Coach Kim, is it right? Mm-hmm. With Coach Kim now. Coach Kim came from SMU, a lot of success. Even last year, you guys finished third nationally in the NCAA championship. So just like a lot of change, but also a lot of success. So what were some of those big changes for you specifically, Riley?
Yeah, so if you were to ask me about like my freshman year, this happening, I would have said what? Because I literally had no clue. Like it just kind of came out of nowhere. And Kim came along with her SMU, so that was the school she was at before, and she brought her like staff. And she brought her staff as well. And I don't really know. There have been multiple differences between Lisa and Kim.
Yeah.
Kim definitely has pushed us in her training plans, and it was really hard at first, but obviously, as you can see, like hard work pays off. And we all like trusted her on that, and it was definitely a difficult transition. She did bring in some of her athletes as well, so we had to create new like bonds with this and create a whole new team environment, and we did. It did take some time, and the progress, like I was a little scared, but it all worked out in the end.
It did. So you guys, there's different boats. There's 8-person boat, 4-person boat that compete, right?
Correct.
You got third nationally because the 8 or the 4 or both. Like, how does that work for the championship rounds?
Honestly, all boats worked, right? So they take for NCAAs, they take 2 8 boats and then 1 4 boat.
Gotcha.
Each ranked different for the point system.
Okay.
But we all had to do extremely well for that to even happen.
Gotcha.
So it was definitely a team effort.
And then is it 8 boats are 16 different people, and then the 4 boat is completely, so there's 20 people rowing plus the
3 coxswains.
Plus the 3 coxswains.
Right.
How many people do you guys have in your team total?
Oh, well, right now we have about 80 or something, I'm pretty sure.
90 maybe.
80, 90, yeah. There's definitely a lot of us right now.
But it does kind of, for lack of a better word, like weed itself out. There won't be 80 by next spring when it's time to compete, will there be? Or
it's hard to tell. I feel like maybe not.
Okay.
Like the people that compete, like there is like the travel group and then the home group.
Gotcha.
But everyone on the team, like you all like push each other to get there. And there's also like constant movement. Like at races, I ended up mostly competing in the 2v4, which is like the 4th ranked boat.
Okay.
But even at races, like one race I would race in the 1v4, and then the next one it would be like the 2v4. Okay. So like you all switch like constantly. Like the boats are never just like steady. So like everyone is constantly pushing everyone to get faster. You never have your lineups until like at NCAs. And I think the year before at SMU, like they switched the lineups at NCAs as well. Like it's constantly.
Like nothing's really set in stone. And I don't really know for like softball, I don't know too much about it, but like I'm sure you guys know exactly who's going to be, and like I know baseball has like certain like pitchers for each day. That's just like not the case in rowing. And that's another thing between the old coach and this new coach is that the lineups are constantly changing. Whereas like I feel like 2 years ago it was kind of set in stone, and we would switch maybe one person or two. Now it could be up to like 3 people. You're just constantly racing or practicing in different lineups than you know.
How's your mental health? Because I know for we could laugh about it, but like I don't think people understand how difficult that is. Because for softball, the starting lineup first game of the year is going to be different the last game of the year, but it's not a completely different 9 people. Like it stays pretty consistent. So to have 80 people competing for the 23 spots, like that is so hard, and people don't really understand that. Like especially with other sports like the men's sports, football, basketball, you see the constant same people rotating. So how are you guys doing? Like, is that something you've had to learn through your rowing career of like how to deal with, or is that just something you've learned with the new coaching staff?
It's definitely something I've been learning throughout the whole experience. I would say last year was a big time for us. I mean, Audrey was coming from, she had no clue, right? She came on her visit, that's what she saw, but now that really wasn't what it was gonna be. And she saw 18 new teammates from the other school, SMU. And last year was kind of like you really, like I came in and I was like, I know every year not to expect anything, but this year like,
You,
what's the
you
word?
really can't.
Yeah, I actually couldn't because I came in and I was like, I have no idea. I have no idea who these coaches are. I have no idea how this whole like year is going to go, what our practice schedule is going to be like, just in general. So I was constantly in the like trying to prove myself, right? Because she knew all these 18 other athletes that she brought, right? So I was trying my best to be like, hi, this is who I am, and this is how I row. And I'm gonna keep pushing myself and try to get faster, but I just like I was trying to prove a point not only to myself, but for them to be like, I still belong here, I wanna make this team fast, and I'll go in whatever boat, but I wanna be fast.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. That, you guys are inspiring me. Like, this is really cool. I don't get to talk this in depth, especially with rowers, but it's really cool. I have a question for you, Audrey. Like, coming in as a freshman who is supposed to be in the front navigating, that could be fifth year seniors,
It definitely
older
was.
girls, like, how did you, your freshman year coming in with a new coach, with 18 new teammates that you weren't even familiar with, like, how did you navigate your freshman year being able to direct all these people who are much older than you? Because I'm thinking about that and I was like, I don't even know if I could yell to people who were older than me like that.
Yeah, so coming in, it was definitely like my freshman class, there was only 5 of us. Like the old coaches didn't recruit that many. And that's like also a big difference with this year. Like we had like, what, 40 girls come in or something?
Yeah,
so,
a lot more.
Yeah, a lot bigger freshman class this year. So we kind of just got thrown into the mix with everyone. We had the SMU transfers, the Tennessee returners, the 5 new freshmen. We were all trying to figure everything out. And so we had a coxswain that had transferred from SMU, and she kind of like took the lead. She knew Kim and her coaching style and everything. And then I just kind of had to rely on like my ability of like what I knew from high school. It was definitely like a sharp learning curve for me. Like I came in thinking, oh, I'm really good. Like the old coaches, they told me, oh, we should expect to see you like in the 8s your freshman year, whatever, which is like the top boats. And so that's kind of what I was expecting. And then I came in and I was like, oh my gosh, I am learning so much. Like I didn't know anything. I was like, wow, this is crazy. I think being a freshman coming into college in my position, it's definitely scary. Like when there are 5th years on the team that you like have to go and be like, stop talking, like do your core, like whatever it is. It's definitely like kind of nerve-wracking sometimes. But I think I like just relied on like being friendly, making friends on the team, getting to know everyone like on a personal level.
Building that trust.
Yeah, building trust with people. And I think that came like pretty fast. Like it definitely, we had to like work together to like get to know each other because it was a big team. But I feel like that definitely like helped me excel and like get to know everyone, and they respected me, I respected them. And I think that's something I'll have like every single year. It's just like so much respect for them and what they do, because I know I could never do it. Like never, like it's insane what the rowers do. And I do have so much respect for them and like their athletic ability, because I'm not an athlete like that. Like I can yell, but what they do is insane.
Without you, they wouldn't be able to perform the way they do. So
I was going to say, I have so much respect for them as well. Like, it's crazy. And to think of me, like, competing for my spot, or, like, I mean, it is worse for them. As bad as that seems, I mean, there's one spot for you guys, right? Where I could have, in an 8-person boat, there's 4 spots for me in my side, because we have different sides that we row on. There's 4 spots where selective for 1-person boat, like, there is 1 spot. And that is way more intense, right? And they have to do just as much as us, and we really couldn't go as far without them.
I really hope you're listening. You guys are giving such good nuggets. We're gonna wrap it up soon, but I kind of want to know where you're at in your season now. I know you're predominantly a spring sport. Do you compete in the fall? How does that kind of work?
Well, there are fall races. We don't compete in the fall just because like hours work out. Like you need like the 8-hour weeks and stuff, and those tend to be at the beginning of the year for us. So like we don't really think that we're like ready to, like if we want to race, we're gonna go out there and like try to win. So we don't race in fall here. At least we didn't last year. This year, I think you did with Lisa, right?
Yeah, that was another transition as well, for sure.
Wow.
But yeah, I think we train hard in fall, harder in spring, and then go out and race and give it our all.
And you guys are competing for the first time in the SEC, which like you're going to be able to make history. If you didn't know, they competed in the Big 12 last year, and then this year they'll be in the SEC with it's Oklahoma, Texas, you guys, and there's another team, Alabama.
Yeah.
So you're able to make history and be the first team a part of the SEC, which is so cool.
Right. And another keynote with that, it's at Oak Ridge.
The championship, which is in Tennessee.
Yes.
Exactly. Right
and
down
it's
the
beautiful,
street.
and you can hike, and you can watch us row.
And that's the, do you have any other home meets? That's the championship. But do you have,
There's going to be a lot more Oak Ridge races this for spring, for sure.
Isn't it one of the top race courses in the
Yeah,
country? Like,
yeah.
it's a beautiful race course.
So
it's
I'm
super nice.
really happy we're like actually going to be
Yeah.
singing
well,
a lot
I'll
more.
actually be there for the champion. Now that I don't have to worry about softball
You
playing,
can be there.
I will for sure be there. But I'm so proud of you guys. You guys have educated me so much on like the difficulty of rowing, and not even just the physical aspect, but the mental side. So I really thank you guys for helping me learn more. There's definitely a bunch of people out there that have learned more as well. But we like to finish the Lady Vol show, all Lady Vol show, out with basically talking about what the Booster Club means to you. I know as a sport, we're similar, softball and rowing, in the sense that we don't get full scholarships. Like, not everyone that's on the roster that you see gets a full scholarship. That's different from other sports, especially male sports. And you guys kind of spoke to that with there being 80 girls. You have to split, I don't know how many scholarships, between 80 different people. So for me, my experience, Lady Vol Booster Club, has just helped me basically on the day-to-day, whether that's groceries, gifts for family during the holidays, filling up my tank of gas. Like, it's helped me so much. So kind of what does the Booster Club mean to you, especially in the sport and the position that you're in?
Yeah, I would say like same as you. We're not all on full rides, and that puts us back in like the position of like this school is expensive, and a lot of my money personally is going to tuition. So I think this like Booster Club, it really helps with like gas, rent, presents for family, whatever it is. It's just like great opportunities, and also just like I'm super new to it. I've been in the Booster Club for like 3-4 weeks now, but even with that, like just like going out, seeing new places,
Interacting
interacting with people and like girls in other sports, it's just really great. So
Yeah, I joined, I think, my sophomore year, and with our team, like you said, it's a really big team, especially now, and we also have like a lot of internationals. So for me, the money really helped with rent when I moved off campus. That really helped a lot, and then obviously gas money. And as Audrey said, like my favorite part of the Booster Club is meeting the fans and like meeting people at dinners or events. Like that is very special to me, and that's something that like goes way above just like the money aspect of it all. And I know that's like cheesy or corny, but it's true.
Yeah.
And it's just really opened up a lot of doors.
Yeah, for sure. I feel the same way about it. I mean, my heart and soul is in it. But I appreciate you guys so much for coming on. If you want to support athletes like Riley and Audrey off the course, or what would you say, off the water,
Yeah.
you can use the code ALLLadyVolShow on our website, ladyvolboosterclub.com, and you can get 15% off your first month of your membership. So make sure you do that to support female athletes like these two wonderful ladies. I will see you at Oak Ridge. I hope other people who watch will also be
I'm
there.
excited.
Do I have to run and follow the boat? Like, how do I watch the race?
Yeah, that's
so I also have to
difficult.
kind of get in shape for that. But I'll figure it out and I'll be there.
Bring a bike.
Okay.
Just do the whole course.
Oh, I can do a bike. Okay.
You also can just
How long
stand at
is
some-
the? How long are the?
stand at the finish line. You can just watch
True.
the end.
How long are the races? I've heard before, but I don't know if everyone knows.
2K
Yeah.
in spring.
How long does
2,000
that
meters.
take?
It depends on 8 or 4.
6-ish, 7-ish minutes.
Okay, so I'll definitely just bike for 7-8 minutes and just watch you guys.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you.
We'll see you
Thank
next
you.
time.